This is a PT boat from World War II. You can see the Nazi. They got three Nazi ships out of there. A PT boat doesn't rely on armor. It relies on speed and agility and small size. I want you to note the armament here. 20 millimeters, 50 millimeters, 50 cals, 20 millimeters, the radar mast. Most PT boats in World War II carried 4 torpedoes. There's one missing there. There's one on that side, one on that side. And what they would do is, you can see this handle right here. So they would get within, for accuracy, they would get within 700 yards. They would say it would be 900, but they really didn't take a risk on until it got to 700 yards. And they would just pull that lever and would throw it overboard, and it would go straight wherever it was pointed. It was a dead, they would start the torpedo, the propeller would just start turning before it even hit the water. So it would be a dead shot. Now, the main reason, they had depth charges on it, and then they had a bigger gun in the back. It had depth charges and a smoker in the back to lay down cover for destroyers or whatever it was escorting. So that was a smoker in the back. And so these things were very heavily armed. It's a pretty good sized deck gun for such a small ship. But reason we want to bring it up, in the future, there's going to be swarm technology. The British are working on a new battleship design, believe it or not. They said the battleship was dead, but it's actually going to make a comeback. And this version of the battleship that the British are working on is going to have a rail gun on it. It's going to have stealth technology. It's going to have drones everywhere coming off of it, so it'll be a little bit like an aircraft carrier in that sense. And it'll have some permanent fixed attack helicopters on it, and it's going to have these cables that are going to come out of the top that'll have sensors that'll go up to 1,000 feet, and they'll actually be able to project electromagnetic weaponry downward. Now, the new PT boat, and they're going to have a moon pool in the back where they'll actually deploy small ships. Most of them are going to be radio controlled, but they're going to be a version of a PT boat. Now, remember, this PT boat, it's actually probably going to be about the same. It's going to be 80% of the size of this. Now, remember, a lot of the PT boat has to support people on it. The profile is going to be smaller, except for the mast. It's going to have they'll have masts on it. It'll have multiple masts, so that in case one of them gets damaged, they'll still be able to do automated attacks with it. But it's probably going to have about the same weaponry. It'll have 4 torpedoes on it. It'll have radio-controlled 50s, a deck gun, several depth charges, so it'll be able to project power. Now, there will also be manual controls in case, for some reason, people need to get on board, or there's an EMP attack, and for whatever reason, or remember Murphy's Law, things go haywire in combat. So what they'll do is, because they won't have to support human beings, they can reduce the size a lot. And computers will reduce the size a lot. So these will have a much lower profile, to be able to travel much faster. And let's go over how they do close quarter combat for a PT boat. Now, remember, at least half of the PT boat is used to support humans. Now, so if you don't need to do that, you can load it up with even more weaponry, and it can be faster and smaller. And the size is what makes it effective. This is the 40 millimeter Bofors and it can fire 120 rounds a minute. So they'll have a version of this on there, and they'll also have the smaller 20 millimeter deck gun because it's proven capable in battle, and it'll have dual 50s. And like I said, it'll have basically everything on here except a little bit better, and it'll be much smaller, and there won't be any people on it. So the swarm technology is going to be the wave of the future, and it's going to bring back the battleship, believe it or not. Thank you, I'm out.